What are children's biggest fears in different countries? If your children live in a first world country, their fears might be a lot different to people that live in a war-torn country. So in today's video, we're going to find out the biggest fears from children around the world. Starting things off with America, and Americans' children's biggest fears is guns. This is probably because of school shootings. Then Indonesia is aliens, and then China is failure. I feel like because in China, they get a lot of pressure put on them to do really, really well. So their biggest fear is obviously going to be failure, because if they disappoint their parents, then that's very, very bad. And of course, guns in the US, because school things happen so often there, it's actually insane. Next up, we have Russia and Baba Yaga they're afraid of, and then Brazilian children are afraid of the dark, and Indonesia is scared of Bahoot. Who's Bahoot then? And who is this character? What is that? Who's Bahoot? Wait, is this some sort of like religious thing that I just do not know about? Because who is Bahoot? He's got devil horns, wings, a big fat belly, no penis or vagina, and some weird legs that look like spiders. Someone tell me who Bahoot is, please. In Bangladesh, their biggest fear is floods. In Scotland, it's wolves. I'm not entirely sure why. I didn't even know there was wolves in Scotland. In Hungary, the children's biggest fears are spiders, and in Kuwait, it is war. I feel like everywhere around the world now, kids are getting more and more afraid of war because how common it actually might be. Like, there is a high chance we're going to World War III. Well, maybe not like nuclear World War III, but like there is definitely going to be something going on for sure. In Belgium, children are afraid of shadows, sorry, and then Pakistan, it's jinn, and South Korea is Gwishin. I guess they're some sort of like demons, I guess. Jinn looks a little bit like Dobby from Harry Potter. But I have heard of Jinn. I think it's like a demon or a ghost. I'm not sure. But Gwishin, I don't know who Gwishin is. Gwishin just looks like a Death Eater from Harry Potter. Most of these things are just Harry Potter's fears. What are you most scared of? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm probably most scared of like poisonous spiders, the ones that can bite you and like mess you up. For kids in Canada, their biggest fear is bears. Then Australia, it is spiders. That makes complete sense to me because the size of spiders in Australia is a joke. Look at this. This is a spider in Australia. Look at the size of it. It's massive. Then in France, the children's biggest fear is abandonment. That is actually a little bit crazy to me because why do children have a fear of just being left? Is it common in France to abandon your children? I'm not entirely sure. In Italy, their biggest fear for children is ghosts, and then in Saudi Arabia, it's jinn again. I assume this is a demon. I'm pretty sure it's a demon now. Then Turkey, it is evil eye, and Egypt again, it is jinn. Whoever jinn is, you're scaring loads of kids, so stop it, mate. You're taking the piss now. Moving on to Kenya, their biggest fear for children is insecurity, and then Thailand, their biggest fear is snakes. That is valid. Snakes are terrifying. Israeli kids are scared of conflict, even though they are in a war right now, so they're probably all absolutely terrified. Then in Japan, they're afraid of monsters. What, like this monster here? Like a dragon? Why? They're not even real. They're not even real, mate. Over in Argentina, their biggest fear is poverty for the children. Then in Morocco, a bit like Brazil, the children's biggest fear is darkness. And in Colombia, it's kidnapping. Oh my days. Imagine being a child growing up and like your actual genuine biggest fear is being kidnapped because how unsafe your country is. That is not good. That is no. That is not good. My biggest fear when I was a kid was spiders, probably. Yeah, it still is. Moving on to Malaysia, their biggest fear is snakes, of course, because snakes are terrifying. Then Vietnam, it's ghosts. And Poland, it's strangers. I've been to Poland and I can assure you, kids were very confident there. They were just running around this town centre in Krakow having a great time on horses. Yes, they were literally riding horses in the middle of Krakow. It was sick. But fair enough, if Poland's biggest fear is strangers for children, that's not a bad thing to be afraid of. Stranger danger, stranger danger. In Mexico, the children's biggest fear is cartels. That is valid because cartels are absolutely terrifying. Then in Nepal, their biggest fears for children is earthquakes. And the children in Spain are scared of being lonely. And in Iraq, the children are scared of violence, and Ukraine, war. I mean, that is completely true. War is terrifying. Nobody wants to be in war. And especially if you're young and you've seen loads of bomb attacks, like you're like, oh my God, I hate this. This is definitely my biggest fear. It would definitely traumatize a few children. Singapore are like China, where their biggest fear is failure, probably because of the pressure their parents put on them. Then the UAE, their biggest fear is heat. so like heat exhaustion, fair enough. The Netherlands, it's floods, and then Iran, it's conflict. Obviously, Iran are in a conflict right now with Israel. There's some sort of peace thing going on. So fair enough for the Iranian kids, they're absolutely terrified about conflict because there's one going on for them right now. Then in Romania, their children are scared of the supernatural, so ghosts and demons, etc. Then Qatar, it's loneliness. That's actually quite sad. Seeing this guy by himself on a swing, imagine that's a child, that's really sad. Sweden, their biggest fear for children is isolation. That would be me as well if I was a child. Afghanistan, it's war. Again, war is terrifying. Then Portugal, it's darkness. And the UK, our biggest fear for our children is isolation. So if you're a child in the UK, let me know if this is your biggest fear. Because when I was a child in the UK, spiders. Spiders, but I also didn't like being alone. Being alone was quite boring, so fair enough. In Nigeria, children's worst nightmare or fears was witches. Then Japan, it was onryo. And then Germany, nightmares. They just have nightmares about ghosts. And then the Philippines, it's typhoon. Moving on to Spain, their biggest fear for their kids is clowns. And the kids in Germany are scared to fail their exams, and the kids in Latvia are scared of fireworks because they're probably very, very loud. In France, their biggest fear is rats, and the Netherlands is geese. No, to be fair, when I see geese, they actually do terrify me a little bit because they're so aggressive. They like chase you and run at you. They are scary, I'm not gonna lie. Geese are scary. I could back the Netherlands here for sure. Greece's biggest fear is being alone. Then England is the boogeyman. I've never heard of the boogeyman. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the boogeyman was like something you couldn't beat. Romania's kids' biggest fear is dogs. And South Korea, it's thunderstorms. Then Indonesia have snakes. Yes, if I was a kid in Indonesia, I'd be terrified of snakes. The USA are for some reason back with abandoned houses, but realistically their biggest fear is guns and school shootings, especially if you're a child, because if you go to school in America, then you always run that risk. In Australia, they're scared of automatic car washes. And in New Zealand are spiders, a bit like Australia in the previous video, because oh my days, spiders are absolutely terrifying. In Cyprus, they're scared of ghosts. Then Estonia, it's heights. And Panama are roller coasters. I've never understood being afraid of roller coasters. You're literally like you're on a rail. You're on a rail. Like you can't fall off of this rail. It just doesn't make sense. It's like being scared of a train. You're on a train. You're on a rail. You can't fall off of it. And they're so fun. They're so quick as well. They're such good times. In Portugal, being called to the chalkboard is their biggest fear for kids. That's fair enough. Especially if you've got a bit of chub on if you're a boy. I mean, that's always a bit scary. We've all been there. Then in Malta, the children's biggest fear is getting their parents divorced. Then in Wales, the children's biggest fear is being abandoned. And Scotland, again, with the wolf. I really don't know what this is with Scotland and wolves. I didn't think there was wolves in Scotland. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. By the way, let's try and get to 1,500 likes on this video. Please like this video. It would mean so much to me. Please like the video. In Italy, their biggest fear is running out of food. Then in Iraq, it is a terrorist attack, which is obviously very terrifying for children and anyone, to be honest. In Poland, one of their biggest fears is going to the dentist for a child. I need to go to the dentist. I've got a wisdom tooth coming in and it really hurts. In Japan, their biggest fear for children is swimming in the sea. Then Denmark, it's rejection. And Australia, falling off the bed. I mean, Australia's lying here. It's spiders or snakes, or kangaroos for that matter. Isn't it true that there's more kangaroos in Australia than Australian residents? Is that true, or am I lying? I feel like that's true. In Brazil, their children are most scared of being robbed. And in China, they are scared of fire. Okay, fair enough. And the children in Turkey are very scared of darkness. I mean, darkness is quite scary. But that's about it. These are the biggest fears for children all around the world. Please make sure you like, subscribe. Oh, and one more thing. Bye.